Hello guys, greetings from Kentucky. Today there's gonna be a story which originates in Europe, specifically in Hungary where I'm from. I grew up there and I actually bought a car there not too long ago when I went there to visit my friends. And I want to talk to you about my new Fiat Milla Cinquecento. So I made a program in the Hungarian language, so I'm gonna kind of translate it to English now, and then I want to show you what I got. So meet Giuseppe. I named it Giuseppe because it's an Italian car. I have another Fiat in Kentucky, which is 124 Spider. I call it Tony because fix it again, Tony. But this car is a 1966 Mille Cinquecento. Cinquecento is the 500 part and the Mille it's 1,000. So it's 1,500 cc's little car. It's got some scratches and dents, of course, like any old car, but it's in really good shape altogether. Looks like when they painted it, they didn't really cover up the gaskets, or they didn't cover up the lights as well. Or they didn't take the lights out, they covered it up. So it's not 100% nice classic car, and that's how I like it because I like to take it to trips. I found several things for it, like this Fiat 1500 sign. I also gonna get this tail handle re-chromed and gonna do some other repairs on it as we move forward. So this is a Familiale. It's called a station wagon. So the problem with it is it shakes. It's also the exhaust sometimes comes into the comes back, and then it actually goes inside the passenger compartment. So my friend was telling me that this seal is new, but might be an extra seal what I could put on. But I was looking at all the catalogs and none of them had that extra seal. So I don't know if I would do it or not. But at later time we'll figure it out. But this car is a very super rare edition. It's the station wagon edition, which they made in a different factory than the rest of the Fiats. And it was there's some damage on it where they opened the door and then it's shaking when I'm driving, so there's something else I'm gonna need to address on it. But if you look inside, it's got really good upholstery. It's just got brand new seats, and on the floor there's an original floor carpet protector rubber piece, which is really handy when it's raining. And then that's also from 1966. It's a little brittle, so you gotta be careful if you pull it up. The last owner told me that. And generally, it's just a nice old car. It's very usable. It's not totally 100% restored, so I don't really mind to drive it in rain or drive it to places. I really want to take it to road trips. You can see the tires are new tires, but they're modern tires, not the classic tires I really like. And then there is some shaking going on in it, which I'm most likely gonna have to address. So there is a part which holds the like a drive shaft support at the middle, and I found it in an original Pirelli edition, so I'm gonna put that on. And there are several other things. There's a lot of space in the back where I can put bags, and then there's a spare tire underneath. I wanted to show you the original spare tire, and that's the size of it. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna do some restoration tires later to put on. Surprisingly, I can find a lot of parts in the US for it. Apparently, they brought a whole bunch of 1500 Spiders and some of these cars also to the US. So there's a lot of remaining leftover new old stock parts are available, and they're not even that expensive. So I'm just gonna when I go back there, I'm just gonna collect a whole bunch of parts, go change it, and then make it better, then go drive it around. But first, we need to transfer the car. To transfer a car in Europe, it's not an easy thing to do, especially this one. If you look at the license plate, it starts with an OT, means old timer. It's a funny way of saying that it's an old car. It's like a classic registration. So I'm planning on doing that today. When I got the car, I had to learn how the signal light works. That's the light switch, and the shorter one, that's the actual signal light. But everything pretty much works on the car except one little signal light bulb on the outside. I think mostly because it doesn't have any ground. But look at the inside; it's like really super nice. I have that little seal. I already found that at Mr. Fiat, so hopefully I can get it from him and then install it for next time I come. So here's that one little light which is out. So I tried to troubleshoot it. The light bulb is okay, but it needs some rubber seal on the other side because it's exposed to the elements. So there's little things on it left and right. But first we're gonna try to transfer the car. So I have the necessary paperwork for it. Since it's a classic car, at first I have to transfer. First I have to have insurance for it. Then I I have to go into the local, like sort of like the AAA, the Hungarian Auto Club is the one who's administering this program. So first I got to ask their blessing to transfer it, and then I can go to the local DMV and try to get the paperwork done there. So we are in the early morning traffic in Budapest, and I have to go to the other side of the city. So I was thinking it would be a nice day to do that. You can see it's a shifter. It's like a 4-speed column shifter, which works very exactly. It's a very nicely done job. Like the last owner changed a lot of bushings, and he worked a lot on the transmission. Every bearing is new in it, and then therefore the shifting is very exact and it's easy to do. So just come with me, and I show you a little bit of Budapest. We're gonna go down next to the Danube River, and then head over to the administrative building where they're administering the classic cars for all Hungary. a lot has changed since I lived here. They built a whole bunch of nice new houses and buildings, but this part looks very familiar. It's kind of an old area, and we almost at the Hungarian car club, or I could translate it like the local AAA. And they have a nice big base where we're gonna go to. There's their house, there's their building. That's the main administrative building. What you see there, that really funky looking thing. And then they actually teaching kids how to drive, and they repairing cars, and also they doing the paperwork for all the old timer cars as well. So here's my friend. He came with his car, and then we're gonna start our journey here to try to get their blessings on selling the old timer or classic car to someone else. It's fairly complicated. Since this is the headquarters, they put a couple of old vehicles of theirs in the lobby. So let's look at them. The first one is an Austrian-made Steyr-Puch 500, and that's from 1960s. Not a Fiat 500, it's a Steyr-Puch. And next to it, there is a Hungarian-built motorcycle, a Jeppe. It's a 125cc Jeppe. My grandpa had one of these. And next to it, there is a 1989 Trabant Combi, a station wagon version. I actually have one of these, a little bit older. And they used to go around the freeways and other places to see if somebody broke down, and they were trying to help them repair their vehicles. All these vehicles are service vehicles built for that purpose. Right next to it, there is a Lada. It's a Russian car, a 2104 from 1992. So also served the same purpose. And then there's an Opel Astra. That's a GM owned corporation in Europe called Opel, and this is an Astra. And some of them had the Isuzu diesel engine, and they run off the end of the world, and they were really fuel efficient. They were really super good cars. This one is also a station wagon. So basically it worked the same way as the AAA works in the US, that if you get into trouble, your car breaks down or something happens, you call the club up and they will dispatch you a vehicle just like this, and they come and help you. They also had motorcycles. So if you see, there's a BMW, it's a K75 L3E, whatever that means. It's from 1993. They also used this to go and help people in their need. So if somebody from the club, one of the club members broke down, they dispatched either a motorcycle or a car, and they went to try to help them and fix their vehicle and put them back on the road. But the guard told us that this is not the place to do what we want to do, so you have to go to another location. There's a nice steam engine out there also displayed. So we had to go into the service and go up to some second floor and talk to some lady. I speak in Hungarian in this video, so I tried to translate it. Unfortunately, the lady told me that since I don't have a residence in Hungary, I cannot actually own this vehicle. So I have to put up a temporary residence in Hungary. I do have a European passport, so that's good. But I also have to have a temporary residence, what I need to establish first. So I asked my friend, and he let me actually do that at his place. And then now we're going to go back to his little village. But on the way, we're going to stop at a shop where they're actually working on one of my Wartburgs. And I want to show you guys the progress, what they're doing on that car first. So we are at my friend's shop, and we stopped in another guy to pick up a trailer hitch, which I really want to install on that vehicle. So my buddy came with me with this Volkswagen because I couldn't put it in the Fiat. It's really large. For a small car, this is a large trailer hitch, which actually goes under the bumper. I also, when I went to Cincinnati to the British car show with a Trabant, with an East German car, I won this jug. So I'm going to give it to my friend Gary, who used to work on that car. So I basically give him my trophy, and I also brought some other parts from other places for that Wartburg, what I'm going to leave behind. And also give him some tools, what he can use to put the windshield in that nice old vehicle. Well, let's head inside and see what we see. Oh, here is a nice little Nissan, and there are several other cars, and there is my red Wartburg with the hood open. So Gabor is making mufflers for Trabants and Wartburgs and other things, and then his hobby is his passion is classic cars, old cars, and he's really good at Trabants and other stuff. So here's Gary. Gary is one of his workers, and then he's gonna come and talk to me about the Wartburg, because he's working on that Wartburg right now. So I asked him to say a few words on what he's doing, but also he speaks in Hungarian, so I'm gonna have to just translate and show you what he's doing. I give him the trophy, what I won with the car, what he built in Cincinnati. So he's very, very excited to see that. I told him earlier that I'm gonna bring it to him, what I got. So he's working on that Wartburg, and the parts are coming in. And he installed the wiring harness and other things. I painted that car, by the way, a long time ago. And then he installed the interior. The steering wheel is just a temporary one. We'll put a nice one in. And here's the engine bay, and all the heating elements and everything is together. Now he's waiting for the engine. The engine is out to get it rebuilt. It's a 2-stroke, 3-cylinder water-cooled engine. So everything else is pretty much in the car. So he's ready for that engine to be put in. And then we can continue on. I like to take this car to France 2 years from now to the La Police show. And in the next video, you guys going to see that show where I went to after this. And I think this car gonna look really, 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 really nice. I'm really super excited. Every single bolt is cadmium treated. And you can see the new steering wheel is all wrapped up. I painted that before. I have some new rubber seals coming from Germany still. And every single part and accessory is going to be cadmium treated as well. Here's my friend Gabor, who owns this place. And then ask him to tell me about a few things, what's around the shop. So what he's talking about is they working on my car, but since the parts are coming not at the same time, so keep working on it. But he also works on other things like this Trabant to one of his friends, and it's going to be also nicer than when it was new. So as the other Hikomat, the other one is made for handicapped people, and behind it there is that Nissan Figaro, which is a new passion of his, and then that Figaro is going to be totally restored as well. Every single bolt going to be new in it. And then the latest thing, what he found in Malta, from all the places, it's not too far, it's an island not too far from Italy. He found this Skoda. Skoda is a Czechoslovakian brand, and this is a right-hand drive Skoda with original color, and it's in really good shape. So this is the classic car plate from Malta, and it says Gabor on it, like GAB, an accidentally just happened. So he's very pleased that he has a license plate with his almost his name on it. So he's saying that he's gonna work on this next, and then that's gonna be his retirement project, and he's gonna have a right-hand drive Skoda. Next up is gonna be the Pastor Classic. It's a Peugeot dealership. I made a longer video of his classic cars. He has super nice cars. Please look it back. It's just a couple of videos ago. And we're just gonna put this car on the lift and then see what we can find underneath, or just do a quick analysis that where that shaking would come from. So we didn't really find much. It looks like the transmission mount is too stiff. Looks like they just homemade it somehow, or somebody made it. So I'm gonna have to find an original one. Also the drive shaft coupler on the front where it goes into the transmission, that's kind of wore out and not all that good. And we found other places but gonna need some repairs. Looks like the rear axle oil is leaking out, so I need to find some seals and most likely change the bearings on it as well. So now that I was able to look underneath here very easily, now we head over to that little village and try to transfer the car. So now I was able to get a new residency card, which shows that I live abroad, but actually have a temporary address in that little village where my friend lives. So with that, I have to go and get a new bill of sale from the last owner. So I had to go to the other side of the city, get a new bill of sale, because I wrote my Kentucky address on that old bill of sale, and also had to ask for a new application form for the auto club. And then once this all done, now I'm heading back to the little DMV what they have, and I'm gonna try to attempt to transfer the car finally. The shaking is coming from many different places. Some are RPM driven, so when the engine is running faster, then basically it creates some shaking. But also when I push the clutch in and the car is rolling without the engine, then it's also some other shaking is in the picture. So most likely the rear wheel bearing needs to be addressed, and then the drive shaft coupler and the drive shaft support bearing that also needs to be changed to an original one. So I'll find all those parts since then, and then next time I go to Hungary, I'm gonna just change them. It's not that difficult to do. The flywheel and the clutch assembly looks very similar to a Polski Fiat, which was basically based on an Italian Fiat as well, and all the measurements were the same, so the last owner put those on. I think I'm gonna put the original flywheel back, what came with the car, and I found some new clutch assembly what made for this car, and I'm gonna put them back to the original condition. So hopefully that will eliminate the shaking what's coming from the engine as well. Other than that, I really enjoy driving this thing. The shifter is really exact, the steering is fine, and then it's just keep on going. I really like this vehicle, so I'm planning on taking it to all over the place. So we are in a small town called Erci. It's right next to the Danube River, not too far from Budapest. And this is how the local DMV looks like. They do everything here, your IDs and transferring vehicles and all these other things. So I'm really hoping it's gonna happen this morning. We came a little early to be here first thing because I got a lot to do today. But it's not as elaborate as the Paris courthouse back in Kentucky, and it's slightly more difficult to do things. But I hope it's gonna happen. So now that we had all the paperwork together and in order, now they were able to transfer it in just about 15 minutes. It didn't cost more than $100, $100 US as it's basically it wasn't more expensive or less expensive than in the US. And I had some classic car insurance on it. It's not a full coverage like in the US. It's just basically a liability insurance, but it still was very inexpensive. I think it was maybe about $50 for the whole year. So there's not much to it to own a car there if it's a classic vehicle. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys the engine a little bit, and then what was shaking. I found a little selector which selects the between the winter use and a summer use. That little thing, it was shaking like no tomorrow. So we roped it up or put a zip tie on it, and then now it's done the shaking part. So that was fairly loud, and it looked like it's a little four-cylinder 1500 cc, very economical engine. So I really like it. Looks like they didn't do a good job in aligning the wheels because they probably used the original numbers, and for a radial tire you need to use a little bit different toe-in than for the original one. So I'm gonna have to address that as well when I come back. From the local classic car guys, I heard the problem with the ethanol. So if you put a car down and it's going to sit more than a month, throughout the winter months, of course, it's going to sit. They recommend to mix 1 to 100 two-stroke oil in it, like a good quality synthetic two-stroke oil into the gas, and then run it around and splash it around and then drive it a little bit to make sure it's everywhere, and then that will prevent the ethanols to separate, and it will not eat up all the rubber parts in the car. So that's what I did. I put a little bit of quality two-stroke oil in it. You got to be careful with newer cars because if you have a catalytic converter, that will eat up your catalytic converter. So that's not good for newer vehicles. It's only for older ones which don't have any kind of emission equipment in them. I have a little booklet for it, what I got from the Spy Museum in Washington, D.C. And then that's what I'm going to use to write up all the things what I'm doing on the car, like when was an oil change in it, or when did we do some parts or repair on the car as well. So there's going to be a track record of what happened to the vehicle. Well, it's time to put the car away. Let's go to my friend's garage and park it there. My buddy Zsolt liked my Trabant so much when he was visiting me in Kentucky that he just actually went out and bought one. So now he has a Trabant as well. He also has other cars like a Model T, and he's got a lot of Harleys and stuff. So, but he really likes that Trabant. So now we're going to his place. He's renting a little a bunker, so to speak, and then that's where my car is gonna live. I asked him to drive it from time to time, so make sure the car actually gets some lubrication and the brakes moving a little bit. So I'm planning on coming back in just about in February or end of February, and I'm gonna do some major repairs on it. I found all the parts what needs to be changed, so I just need to collect a little garage money and then buy them and bring them back when I'm coming next time. So we're gonna say goodbye to the Giuseppe, my new Fiat 1500. There is a little model car that one of my friends gave me. I know it's an older one, but it's also a station wagon version, which in Italian says familiale. I hope I pronounced it right. and then I'm gonna take it back to the US, so it reminds me of my little Fiat 1500 what's waiting for me here. Well, thanks for watching, and see you guys next week with something else. Now I'm heading over to France, and then I'm gonna get arrested at that car show. So see you guys next week. Bye.